Hey guys, I'm Eric with American Trucks. In this video, we're gonna be checking out this S&B cold air intake with oiled, cleanable cotton filter fitting all 2017 to 2018 Chevy Silverado and Sierra 1500s. You should really be checking this out if you want better throttle response, a little bit of boost in power and horsepower, as well as you are starting to maybe do other modifications to your engine for better performance. Now, cold air intakes are very popular among truck owners, and it's usually one of the first things they do when they want to modify their engines and get a little bit better power. The old saying goes, more air in, more air out. And what that's referring to is a cold air intake like this that the manufacturer tells us provides about 40% better airflow, gets more air into your engine, and if you're going to pair that up with an aftermarket exhaust, you're getting all that air back out of your engine. It makes for more performance and better throttle response all the way around. Now, that 40% better airflow, according to the manufacturer, comes almost entirely due to this high performance air filter that's right here in the air box. It's made out of cotton fiber and it's oiled and cleanable as well. And what's really nice about the housing here with this S&B kit is you have this large window here that not only shows off your high performance modification, but it also allows you to, at a glance, tell when it's time to clean out your filter. The other nice thing about the design of this kit is it fits up right tightly up against your fender well, and that's going to allow it to create a nice seal in there, and you're going to get air directly into that high performance air filter. And then you have smooth tubing all the way to your throttle body. That's going to allow less restrictive airflow going straight into your engine. Now, as far as price goes, right now this comes in under $400, and that's pretty much what you should expect to pay for this type of cold air intake, and it's pretty competitive with other makes out there on the market right now. Now, another nice thing about this kit, guys, is that it's a direct bolt-on installation, and as you'll see here in a moment, not too difficult, one or two challenging aspects to the installation. Therefore, I'm gonna give it 2 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. I give it a soft 2 wrenches, really, but it deserves that because there are 1 or 2 additional steps, especially if your truck has the high intensity discharge lights like this truck does. And as far as time goes, I would budget about 1 hour to get this job done from start to finish. So let's take a look at the tools you're gonna need and go ahead with the installation. All right, guys, tools you're gonna see in this install are an electric impact wrench, 8 and 10 millimeter sockets, a socket extension, a 10 millimeter crescent wrench, a short and a long Phillips head screwdriver, a flat blade screwdriver, and a trim removal tool. All right, guys, now we're gonna begin by uninstalling our factory intake here, and you're gonna see in this truck it's been modified quite a bit, and there are gonna be some things that are probably different than what you see on your truck if your truck has not been modified at all. And one of those things is right here is I have a Phillips head screw that's holding our MAF sensor in here. You should probably have like 2 Torx bits holding this in. But I'm going to remove this screw and we'll get the sensor out. All right, now with the 8 millimeter socket, we're gonna loosen the clamp here that goes to our factory airbox. We're gonna loosen the clamp that connects up to our throttle body. All right, now with this clamp loosened, we can disconnect that from the airbox. And if your clamp is loose, just go ahead and get it out of here. All right, guys, now at this step of your uninstall, you're gonna have a couple of hoses here that clamp onto this part of your intake that have like a plastic fitting and a little gray tab that you would pinch, and that would basically, it's like a locking tab. You pinch it and then this would pull off. This truck has been modified and worked on in the past, so it has these non-standard hoses on here. If you have something like this, and if you have a little clamp that's like this, you can't just unscrew and loosen these like the other ones. You're gonna have to get in here and cut this top little fold off of there. If you have a pair of snips like I have here, it makes it a little bit easier, even though it's still a little bit of work. All right, now like I said before, this is a non-standard hose, so I'm gonna undo this clamp down below. Your factory hose is gonna have a pinch, just like up here. Again, non-factory clamp and hose over here. Try loosening it down below. You can just remove this section of your intake away. All right, in order to have some more room to work in here, we're gonna remove this bar temporarily. So we're gonna undo this bolt here. It's a 10 millimeter. All right, now in order to lift this cover off here so we can access the other end of this support rod, we're gonna undo some locking clips here, just enough so we can peel this up a little bit and get access to the other bolt on the other end there. All right, with those clips removed, just lift this up. And we're gonna access this bolt right here. Again, 10 millimeter. All right guys, now we're gonna lift out the factory air box. You have to pull it out of a couple rubber grommets at the bottom, but it should come right out. All right guys, now we're gonna remove the tray altogether that our factory intake was resting on. To do that, you would probably have 4 bolts here that are 10 millimeter. This truck does not. I have 1 bolt here. And what I'm looking at here is I have a couple of Phillips head screws. Probably not the hardware you're looking at on your truck, but I'm gonna get this removed out of here. All right guys, now if your truck has the high intensity discharge headlights like this one does, you're gonna have to do this extra step here, which is we're gonna take out a bolt here and then one on the back side so that we can temporarily move this radiator overflow reservoir kind of off to the side when we maneuver our airbox into place. So you're gonna need a 10 millimeter socket for this. And the other bolt is right back here, guys, kind of on this corner of the reservoir. Look straight down on it. Should be able to reach it with about a 6-inch extension. And it's basically a nut on a threaded post down there. So now we can move this temporarily over here and out of our way. And right here is the nut we were taking out. All right guys, now we have our factory intake off of this truck. I want to put it up here on the table, side-by-side comparison to our new S&B cold air intake. Now, really what stands out obviously is the air box here, which is huge. Has this nice clear window there that's going to give you a good view of this high performance air filter that's cleanable as long as you remove it, clean it, re-oil it, and put it back in. It's going to be reusable for years to come as long as you take good care of it. Now the nice thing about this window, obviously other than the aesthetics, that kind of looks nice, it's pleasing. Anyone popping the hood and looking in there is going to tell that you're kind of performance-oriented owner of your vehicle. But the other nice thing about this too is you can start visually seeing when it's going to be time to clean that air filter. Now with this totally enclosed unit here, you either have to follow a service interval, which may vary. I mean, depending on the environment you work in, if it's a very dusty, dirty environment, you're gonna have a shorter lifespan on this replaceable air filter. Whereas here, you can work regardless of what environment you're in. You can get a quick glance at your filter and see how dirty it is and whether or not it's time to clean it. Other than that, obviously, it's a huge filter and it's gonna let a lot more air through, and that's really where you're gonna get that better throttle response and that little bit of boost in power as well. So let's go ahead and get this mounted up to our truck. All right guys, so right now we're looking at the underside of our new S&B airbox here. You can either leave this open and it'll be another pathway for air to come into your airbox, or you can take this large rubber plug here and just insert it in the inside. Like that, and plug that up. So basically you only have air coming in this way from the fender. Then go ahead and grab this rubber gasket here. And obviously it just kind of pinches on. It fits right into place like that, and that's going to create a seal here between our airbox and the inside of the fender. All right, and we're going to take the airbox and kind of set it in place here. Now there are 4 holes in the bottom of our airbox here that will line up with the holes that are threaded where we removed the hardware to take out the supporting tray earlier. We're not reusing that tray, but we are going to reuse these threaded holes. So once you can look down and see if you have proper alignment there, and as long as you can maneuver that into place, that's good. But right now we're going to go ahead and replace our overflow reservoir. You can kind of move your airbox over a little bit since we don't have it bolted down yet. And we're going to go ahead and put the bolts in for our airbox first while this is still loose. We can have a little play here if we need it. So go ahead and grab these bolts and washers out of the kit, and you're going to need a 10 mil socket to tighten these up. I just have that started a little bit by hand, guys. That's just to make sure that we know we can line up our airbox with proper alignment. Now we're going to go ahead and tighten up our overflow reservoir. All right, now go ahead and grab this bolt that we removed earlier. All right, now we're going to replace the nut back on here, on this threaded post down here. I'm not going to be able to see it on camera. All right guys, now we're going to fill in the rest of these holes in the bottom with 3 more of these bolts from the kit. And go ahead and repeat that for all 4. You're not really going to be able to see it here on video, but you can maneuver your airbox around just a little bit so you got proper, so you can line up the holes down there. And use a 10 millimeter on these guys if I didn't mention that before. All right, the one up here in this corner, straight down from right here, guys, is kind of recessed just by the design of the airbox itself. You can tighten it by finger at first, and then once you get it down, if you want to cinch it up the rest of the way with a ratcheting wrench, if you have one, might speed things up a little bit for you. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get our filter in. You drop it in like that, all the way down. Now there's a tab here, if you can see that. That's what's going to kind of lock it into place when we, just like that. That's nice and firm in there. You can obviously just get that out by pushing down and in if you have to clean this in the future, but for right now, it's nice and solid. All right, guys, now with our intake tube here, go ahead and grab this stepped rubber connector piece. You're gonna have 2 different size clamps in there. This one's a little bit larger, obviously goes on the larger part of the connector piece. Get them started on there. And so they're not so loose, you can kind of finger tighten it a little bit like that so they're not sliding all over the place on you. All right, then go ahead and get another large clamp and put it on here. Now this is the rubber portion that's part of the actual filter itself. It goes on there. And we're gonna slide the intake tube in next. All right, now we're gonna put the tube on. You can connect it up to your throttle body. And now we'll tighten these down. All right, now we're gonna tighten this clamp down, guys. You're gonna need an 8mm socket for this. All right, now we tighten these up here by the throttle body. All right, guys, now grab one of your sections of new tube here and get a couple clamps started, one on each end, the small clamps in your kit. Get them snugged up so they're not moving all around on you. You're gonna plug it back in here on one end, and on the other end, and here. And we'll tighten them down. All right, we're just going to repeat that over here as well. All right, guys, now take your factory air sensor here, and you're going to have this polished or kind of aluminum plate right here and a little rubber gasket. Now these large holes right here are what's going to bolt this to the new intake. These little holes right here are what is going to attach the sensor. You cinch it up like that. It's going to attach the sensor to this plate using the tiny screws here that come with it. And just tighten those down with a Phillips head. Now I can get the sensor on the intake. And we can plug the sensor back in. All right, guys, now we're going to install the window on our air box. You have this little rubber gasket that kind of goes around the edges here. It just kind of pinches on, pretty self-explanatory. And once you get that on there, grab these Phillips head bolts and little plastic washers. You're gonna want to make sure you use those plastic washers. You don't want to be tightening down these bolts right onto the clear plastic. Then go ahead and get the rest of the bolts in. All right, guys, now we're going to reinstall this support brace. And tighten it down with a 10mm socket. All right, guys, now reinstall your lock tabs. Okay, guys, that wraps up this review and install of this SMB cold air intake with oiled cleanable cotton filter for all 2017 and 2018 Chevy Silverado. For all things truck, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.